This game means so very much to me. Infamous was unlike any other game I have ever played. It was my first experience with a PS3, and boy did it change my view on PlayStation as a whole. I became obsessed with Infamous. I had it as my background on my iPod, I looked up everything about the game in my free time, I thought about playing the game all damn day. The reason I think I was so obsessed with Infamous was because I actually didn't own a PlayStation 3. My uncle did. I went to my aunt's house every other weekend and got to play his PS3. Eventually. So that's almost a 2-week waiting period to play this game I was absolutely and utterly obsessed with. I'd leave her house on Sunday and then wait 2 agonizing weeks to play the game again. When I got my hands on it, I binge played the hell out of it, man. Until 3 a.m. I was on that PlayStation. I couldn't stop. I'd go to sleep for a few hours and wake up and start playing it all over again. It was some of the best gaming memories I've ever had. Infamous absolutely blew my tiny little kid mind. Everything about it. The story, mechanics, karma system, enemies, upgrades, city, traversal, everything. I haven't played this beloved game of mine in a very long time. 10 years to be exact. I wanted to experience this game again as an adult and see if all the greatness in the game was true or if it was just blind nostalgia. I was terrified to play this game and get in fear of not liking it at all anymore. I would genuinely be heartbroken. I've already found out that some games from my childhood that I loved aren't that good anymore, and it hurts. So is Infamous great? Well, in order to find that out, we have to go back, way back. SuckerPunch was founded in October of 1997. Their very first game was Rocket Robot on Wheels for the Nintendo 64, funny enough. That would be their last Nintendo game they would ever make. They signed a deal with Sony in the year 2000 to make the Sly Cooper games. Now, I'm sure most of you have heard of these games. My very first introduction to SuckerPunch was through the winter 2002 Jampack demo disc. On that very same disc was a demo for Sly Cooper, the Thievius Raccoonus. I played this demo over and over and over. I loved this game, but I never owned the full version. Then, in Christmas of 2007, my stepbrother got Sly 3 Honor Among Thieves for Christmas. I begged him to let me play it, and he eventually agreed as long as I traded him Kingdom Hearts 2, which is the present that I got for Christmas. Little did I know that I just traded him one of my favorite games of all time. I had no fucking clue it was that amazing. Like, what the hell was going through my head? But anyways. I put countless hours into that third Sly Cooper. I couldn't believe I had a full version of that game. I beat it multiple times and I fell in love with it. But I saw that logo each and every time I started up the Sly Cooper demo and the third installment of the franchise, SuckerPunch Productions. I didn't know who they were, but I knew I liked them and what they were doing with video games. Fast forward to the year 2009. I'm watching Family Guy on Adult Swim past my bedtime like the absolute hoodlum that I am, and I see this commercial.
The explosion changed my life and ruined everyone else's. Empire City is overrun with criminals and lunatics, cut off from the world by a government quarantine. Everyone thinks I have the power to fix it, but I don't know if I can, or if I even want to.
Rated T for teen.
I was boring as hell, and I continued watching Family Guy. Now, I don't understand what was going through my dumb little head, but I do remember that I didn't understand what this game was even about through that commercial. Probably because it was a CGI commercial and the real game could have been anything. It had everything that I loved at the time though. And to this day, superheroes, fighting, powers, open world, watching this commercial in the present day, it's a great commercial, but I just didn't get it back then. A few months passed by and we start staying at my aunt's house like I mentioned earlier, every other weekend. The first time we'd stayed there, I see my Uncle Matt sitting in his chair in front of the TV. And what do I see him holding? A fucking wireless PlayStation 2 controller. I'd never seen one of those before. But wait, I look a little closer. There's a button in the middle and it has the PlayStation logo. I start to look past them even more and I see it. A PlayStation 3. My jaw hit the floor. You guys don't understand. I had never seen one of these before. It looked so futuristic and next gen. It had the Spider-Man 3 font, which obviously made me fall in love with it even more. I was playing a ton of GameCube and PS2 at the time, so I felt like I hadn't experienced next gen gaming before. My dad bought an Xbox 360 when those came out, but I wasn't too interested in Xbox. I always wanted a PS3, so I'd finally gotten my chance to play the future of gaming in my eyes. I asked my uncle if I could play, and he said,
No!
I mean, I don't blame them. Those consoles were what, $500–600 at the time? That's normal now, but holy shit, that was so expensive back then. I wonder how much that is with inflation. God dang! I asked him every time we went over to their house if I could play it. I was persistent. I was not going to give up this dream. I could feel it deep in my soul, dude. I needed to play this console. He eventually and finally gave in. He asked me what I wanted to play. I look over at his gaming shelf, I start sifting through the games, and I see it. Infamous. This game has one of the best introductions to a video game that I've ever seen. The game opens up with that iconic SuckerPunch logo, but it gets electrified. I love it when game companies do custom animations or effects to logos for that specific game. Infamous starts glowing very faintly at the bottom of the screen. No words, no music, nothing. You are then shown a very active city. If you watch and listen long enough, you can hear happy people talking, children laughing, and you do what the game tells you, and you press that start button. Holy shit! That was intense and awesome. The game then opens up with the main character Cole McGrath laying on the ground, scarred and burnt. There's damage and destruction surrounding him, and he is in the direct middle of this crater. Cole is then told to make his way out, that there was a bombing, and it was because of the terrorists. Seems a little weird to me. Okay, this is 2009. His walking always seems so funny and awkward to me in the opening cutscene. You walk past an open wire type thing, you get absolutely cooked and shocked right to the head, man. If you looked at the cover of the game, you know exactly what's going on. Cole keeps making his way through and bam, shocked again. He finally makes his way to the bridge. Cole then gets shocked one final time and cannot control his powers. He ends up killing all of these people around him, and Zeke immediately says,
It's the terrorists! Run for the bridge, Cole!
Dude, what the hell? You saw lightning strike from the sky during a storm, and you go back to terrorists? That is the terrorist's fault? Whatever, I get it, 2009. You run as fast as you can, but lightning can't catch you, you're the
electric man!
You pass out from millions of volts running through your body. Damn, again, what an introduction. While Cole is passed out and recovering from the shock, Cole starts narrating that everyone else in the city is getting worse. A plague breaks out and a citywide quarantine is put into effect to prevent the spread. Oh god, I'm starting to get flashbacks. Riots break out, gangs start to take over, cops are either dead or gone. It's basically Mad Max mixed with Grand Theft Auto. And Cole's girlfriend, Trish, is depressed because her sister was killed in that blast. Cole wakes up and starts to realize he has superpowers now. He's getting better at controlling it. Zeke and Cole hear about some food getting dropped nearby. They have this awesome and depressing conversation about how their normal lives used to be, and it's fucking sad.
Hey, remember that time we were coming home from Duffy's and I had to take a leak? And that bike cop was yelling at me to put up my hands.
You pissed all over him.
Hey, he told me to put up my hands. While he's fumbling around, I jump back in and we take off. Awesome. Bummer we won't be able to do anything like that again. You know what? Pizza. Big sloppy slice. And payday. Having a big fat wad.
Yeah, I'd settle for some hot water.
It really shows how bad things are and how it will never be the same. It really makes you empathize with the people of this apocalyptic world. It also shows how good of friends Zeke and Cole are. The food finally gets dropped and some conspiracy YouTuber hijacks every screen in the city somehow to tell everybody Cole is the reason for the blast, and he has proof. And he shows a picture of Cole holding the bomb. Trish then blames Cole for her sister's death. Civilians start to throw rocks at you. People are calling you a terrorist. God, it's so weird. So the only option is for Cole and Zeke to leave Empire City. This leads to fighting a wall of cops and they break out the machine guns. Cole and Zeke bust through the gate on the bridge to avoid getting shot to fucking death. Zeke falls into the water underneath the bridge, and this brings Cole to Moya, who has apparently been watching Cole, and she was waiting for him to get there because she knew he would try to escape Empire City and bust through that exact gate into her office. But how did she know he would bust through that gate and go into her exact office across the bridge? What if he got shot to death or just fell in the water? It just seems kind of like a weird coincidence, I don't know. Anyways, this now brings you to the whole plot and goal of the game. Moya informs you that she lost her husband, John, in the blast. So you have to find Moya's husband, who has been undercover infiltrating a group called the First Sons. The First Sons built the Ray Sphere, which was a device to absorb thousands of people's neuroelectric energy and concentrate that power into one person. This is how Cole got his powers. It turns out Cole was delivering an unknown package to a destination. When he got to that destination, he received a call informing him to open it, and when he did, the Ray Sphere exploded and killed thousands to give Cole his powers. Moya has been trying to find her husband since the night of the blast. She assigns Cole with the task of finding her husband, get the Ray Sphere, and he can be allowed to leave the city and clear his name. This is where the game kicks off and Cole's mission now starts. You are now free to explore this open world of a knockoff New York. Now you can explore the entire city. However, the power is out in most of the areas. You can explore in these very dark areas, but you're just gonna have a real bad time. There are enemies with turrets mounted to semis everywhere. There's also very little electricity to be found, which in turn means it's gonna be very hard to use your powers and to heal. You can turn the power back on in these areas, and remember, this is an open world game from 2009. No, you don't have towers to activate to reveal the map like in every other open world game. No. You have to go into the sewers, so opposite. No more high, you go low, and find the right generator to turn on. Getting to the location of the sewer is a challenge in itself. I played the game on the hardest difficulty, so I got killed really easily in the game. You have to stick to the rooftops, conserve energy, and run as fast as you can to the sewer that is highlighted. Once you finally get there, you are greeted to this generator that needs to be activated by Cole transferring electricity to the other side of the thing. Doing this grants Cole a new electric ability every time, which we will get into the powers later. Once you turn on that power, all is well, and it is much safer to explore those parts of the world. And remember, this is an apocalyptic city. The atmosphere of this world is so damn depressing and dark. Even when it's daytime, the city is just trashed, man. Every car is damaged, buildings are crumbling. Don't even get me started on how sad this looks at night. Whenever I play these portions of the game at night, it legitimately made me want to stop playing and watch or play something wholesome. What makes this even worse, or real, is that the people living in this city, the people walking around, are depressed as shit. They're crying and they're on their knees in the streets. There's dead bodies all over the place. They're commenting on how they wish they could just find the person that they love. People are throwing up and digging through the trash to find food. God, some of the comments from the people make you feel even worse.
I can't believe this is happening to me. Why does the universe hate me? I hate my life. All I've ever done is help people.
God damn, man. I just wanted to play a video game and have some fun, not feel absolutely horrible about a bunch of ones and zeros, but that's exactly what the developers were going for, and it works. They make you want to either feel bad for these people, or if you're fucking sick, make things worse for them. And this brings us to the most fascinating and interesting thing about the infamous franchise. All throughout the game, you are given many choices. To put it simply, a good and a bad choice. One of the first decisions you make determines your path. You approach the food that was dropped for the people in the city that I mentioned earlier. You have a choice of either killing a few people to scare all of them away and keep all of the food for yourself, or you can just let the starving people grab what they want and do nothing. If you make the bad choice, it sets your karma level to thug, and you get red lightning. You also start to notice Cole is looking a little more strange. And if you make a good choice, you keep your blue lightning and you're promoted to guardian, and Cole starts to look more healthy and bright. You can also slightly boost your karmic level using very basic powers. You'll come across a lot of injured people on the streets. You can heal them to ever so slightly boost your good karma level, or you can kill everyone in sight to slightly boost your evil karma level. You can always change your karma path to a certain point, but honestly, it's kind of a waste of XP and time since you have to be bad to use bad powers and good to use good powers. But still, it's a nice addition. If you spend XP on a good power and then switch to bad, you can't use the power you just spent XP on. And as you progress through your karma level, you will either become more brighter and angelic in a way, or more sadistic and warped. The good karma side starts with Guardian, then it goes to Champion, and finally Hero. The evil path is Thug, Outlaw, than Infamous, which Infamous is actually the name of the game, but it's the most evil part of the karma gauge. It seems a little strange to me since most people would choose the hero path, but it's still a cool name for a game, so I get it. You are presented with multiple karma choices throughout the game. In my opinion, there could have been way more, and some of the evil choices you can make genuinely make the player feel horrible. The developers did a fantastic job of making the player feel evil when choosing the bad path.
I can either fry him and open the door that way, or tell him that his wife is dead.
I'll kill you.
However, I don't know if it's the voice actor for Cole, which I like by the way, he's a good voice actor, but even when you become the highest level of good you can, a hero, it doesn't feel like you're a hero. Cole sounds annoyed, even when he's making the right decisions. He never really seems like he wants to help anybody.
I'm starting to think none of this is my problem. Maybe I should just let those two slug it out and then swoop in and nab the sphere when the dust settles.
Just doesn't care. It makes it feel like he is a normal person who got superpowers in this horrible world, which is way more realistic, I get it, but when Cole is evil, he genuinely feels like a horrible guy. The voice actor does a fantastic job of making him sound so sadistic and gross. Like, he likes being bad, which is good for the evil karma, but it's bad for the good karma. The people of Empire City also react to the karma level you are at. If you're a hero, they'll actually help you fight the bad guys. They'll gang up on them and just throw and pelt rocks at them, and they're pretty damn strong. They'll cheer you on in the streets and even hit on you. Now, if you're infamous, they'll do the opposite. They'll pelt those same rocks at you instead. You'll hear them comment on you before they start fighting you. They say things like, "Let's get him," or "We can all work together," or they just comment on how they can take you down.
He doesn't deserve to live!
The cutscenes in this game also change depending on the decisions you make. Now, this amazed me when I was younger. I don't know why my expectations were so low for a video game, but I thought every cutscene would be exactly the same regardless of your choices. And to my surprise, it's actually consistent with the choices you make. Who would have thought? This made me want to beat the game on both the hero and infamous side just to see what the differences were. This is what made the game so incredible to me at the time. There were two completely different paths you could take, two different choices you can make at multiple points in the game, two different powers, two different appearances, reactions, view, characters. It just overwhelmed me with discovery. One of the most impactful karmic decisions is towards the end of the game, so it's getting a little bit into spoilers. When Cole finally finds the ray sphere and Moya's husband John, you have the choice of destroying it or activating it again. Both choices result in killing the man that you found, John, unfortunately, and if you decide to destroy it, nothing really happens. It's destroyed. But if you decide to activate it, it will actually make you more powerful. However, this will make you at max evil karma level regardless if you're at a hero or not when you make the decision. Meaning, if you are a hero, it will change you to infamous right after that mission. It also has this fucking dope look to it. It puts this like black highlight in the middle of the red lightning, which looks super comic booky to me. It's amazing. I love the look of this, man. I just wish it gave your good blue lightning an awesome look to it as well if you choose to destroy it and make the good karma choice. Activating it also increases the amount of energy you can use, like finding a whole bunch of extra blast shards, which we'll get to later. This was the only choice in the game that changes something significant about your powers and Cole, which I get. The game was building up to you finding the ray sphere this entire time. Now, I will say something so stupid and honest about the karma system when I first played it. I had no fucking clue you could be bad. I assumed the game wanted me to make the right decisions. I thought I was supposed to be good, that the game would somehow end or punish me if I choose the bad ending. So I beat the entire game on the good side, and I put it down. I didn't even read the back of the damn game case. I didn't pay attention to the evil XP karma levels in the power section of the game, and I just didn't put two and two together. After I beat it the first time, I opened up the game case. I saw Cole McGrath hanging off the side of the building with red lightning on his arm. I thought it was like a secret thing in the game, so I asked my uncle, "How do I unlock the red lightning?" He said, "Oh, you just gotta make the evil choices in the game and like kill random civilians." Fucking excuse me? You're telling me I didn't have to make the good choices? You can actually make the wrong choices in the game? What happens? Can you still beat the game? I was filled with so many questions. I immediately started a new game and chose the bad karma side. I don't know why I was so oblivious to this. I just never thought a game would let you make the evil choices, let alone a superhero game. This made me fall in love with Infamous even more. The freedom and ability to make the choice you want to make whether that's for the greater good or for yourself, that fascinated me. You can use your powers to help everyone or destroy everything in sight. To be fair, it says that on the back of the damn game case if I just read it. You can also complete missions in your very own way, whether you want to make sure you save as many people as possible or kill everyone in sight. It truly is your choice on how you want to approach the gameplay in this world. The gameplay is okay. Man, as a kid, this was the coolest shit I've ever seen, and using superpowers and electrocuting enemies, gliding through the air while shooting a force field at an enemy was pure satisfaction, just like the parkour system. Parkour was at its peak around this time. I played Assassin's Creed before this, but Infamous just feels way more fast-paced and way more unrealistic, which is way more fun to use in my opinion. I will admit some of it can be not fun. There are only specific things you can grab onto, and it works most of the time, but the times that it doesn't work can cost you. Traversal is very basic in this game. Cole explains that he can't ride in a car because it will explode if he sits in it, which again makes a lot of sense, and you can't swim because, you know, electricity plus water, it doesn't really work. You might as well get a person to hold a toaster and jump into a bathtub. So you can either parkour or do the super cool grind on power lines and train tracks. This is the best way to get around. It's also the fastest. If you're going fast enough, you can jump off the rail you're grinding on and fly forward to either jump on another power line or just get launched forward. Other than those two options, you can't get around any other way besides running. There is no fast travel system in the game. The map is very small, so fast travel wouldn't make a lot of sense, but sometimes you have to go all the way across the map and it can take some time. Seems like a lot of time wasted by holding forward or mashing X. Traversal is also used to collect something called blast shards. Blast shards are used to increase the max energy you have to use for powers. It's in the top left corner. However, as you increase your energy, you also have to collect more blast shards. It starts off with only collecting 10 to increase your energy, and then it can go to 35 and 40. That's a shit ton. That's a lot of blast shards. But collecting blast shards to increase your energy is awesome for using your fighting abilities. Fighting with your powers is one of the best parts of the game, especially when you can pull off awesome tricks and combos. If you get damaged by an enemy while fighting, you can heal yourself by absorbing electricity, or you can just hide behind something until you're better. Mixing and matching the powers truly makes this game unique. However, a lot of the game just feels unpolished and unfinished. I don't know if they just needed more time to make this game, or if it was just a product of its time. It was a newer next-gen game. It was the first PS3 game Sucker Punch put out, and there are so many glitches in the game. I even had the game do like a mini crash on me once. The glitches and bugs aren't horrible, but it did affect the vision that I originally had for Infamous in my head. The worst bug I came across made me restart an entire mission. In this mission, you have to destroy these gigantic turrets that were trying to shoot your partner, John, out of the sky. You have to use a lightning storm to destroy it. Nothing else will work. So I tried using it, and it would not work. It did just fine on the other turrets, and I tried over and over and over. Nothing helped. It's like there was this invisible force field around the thing. It shot John right out of the sky, and I had to do the mission all over again. The next time I tried it, it worked perfectly fine. No problems at all. I don't understand what happened. I even fell through the entire map a couple of times. A couple of times, not just once. The performance and pop-in for this game, even running natively on a PS3, was horrible. The frame rate feels like it dips into the single digits at times. The pop-in is super noticeable, especially when you're going super fast on power lines. It's very distracting and frustrating at times. Kind of like the melee combat. The melee combat is just not fun to use. I try not to use it. I didn't even upgrade the melee at all through both playthroughs of the game. Every time you go near an enemy to use melee, they just keep stepping away as you're in the middle of a fighting animation. So they will continuously move away and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Most of the time you can get killed this way. So fighting with your hands is basically out. It's like the developers want you to use the long range powers, which is perfectly fine. The actual powers you use is the highlight of the game. But personally, I like to mix it up. I like to use a bit of long range fighting and close range melee fighting. This game just appears it wasn't built for that. This game was built for the open world genre, and you can't have an open world without side missions. Completing side missions gives you a small amount of XP and also clears a certain area of the city to where enemies will not return there, which is lame in my opinion. If you complete every single side mission and make sure enemies never return there, you won't have any enemies to fight, rendering the most fun part of the game useless. So I tried not to complete some of the side missions on purpose to keep the enemies spawning. I wish there was a way to turn that off. The first type of side mission is so very basic. Someone tells you that there are some enemies over here, or to destroy some stuff on a building, or find this hidden package, package of blast shards. Some of the basic side missions do give you more of a karmic choice though. The more interesting side missions to me are the good and evil side missions. The good side missions have you in contact with the warden of the jail. He basically asks you to protect the protesters in the street, escort prisoners to jail, and help the police fight enemies. The evil side missions follow Sasha, one of the main bosses, as a contact. Sasha informs you to kill the police, execute rival gangs, and kill any protester in sight. As a bonus, she also tells her followers, the Reapers, to help you out. So it makes it more interesting that one of the enemies you fought at the beginning of the game now helped you in side missions. Completing these karma missions also boosts the karma level you are at, depending on the good or evil mission you have done. There's not a lot to do here in the side missions though. The best thing about them is either giving you blast shards or XP to upgrade your powers. Not a whole lot of fun because they all feel very samey. I just wish it didn't eliminate the most fun part of the game, using your powers to kill enemies. If you complete a side mission to get XP, to upgrade a power, but then you can barely use that same power because enemies are no longer there, it renders the side mission useless. I get why the devs made it to where it gets rid of the enemies in that area. It makes it feel like you're cleaning up the city, or if you're evil, you're gaining more control over it. I just see a huge contradiction in it. Otherwise, this is just the most basic definition of a side mission in an open world game. However, the different powers you use make up for the gameplay loop in those missions. I love superpowers, especially in this game. The devs were so creative on how you use electricity as a unique ability. They could have just given Cole shooty lightning bolt powers in melee combat, but no, they went all out. First off, you have this gauge in the top left corner of the screen, like I mentioned earlier, next to your karmic meter. This shows you how much electricity you have to use. Once you run out of it, you'll have to recharge it by finding an electricity source. These rechargeable sources are found all throughout the city. You can also shoot the hell out of something that has electricity to recharge it and get even more juice out of it. However, this doesn't work in the areas of the city that have no power. Most of your abilities drain your electricity gauge. Fortunately, the most basic and used power, the lightning bolt, uses no electricity, so you can use that as much as you want to. And in a way, it does feel OP and it doesn't really make any sense. Cole is still using electricity to shoot this bolt, even when he's out. They did change this in the sequel though, to where it does use a little electricity. And as a kid, I hated that they changed this in the sequel, but now it does make more sense to me to do it that way, and it offers more of a challenge. Melee also does not use any electricity. Now for the other fun powers. The use and upgrades of these powers depends on your karmic level. The hero side has different effects on the abilities than the infamous side. The hero side of the abilities is more precise and safe to use to account for the civilians around you. When you're fighting some bad guys, you want to make sure you don't hurt any civilians or it will decrease your karmic level. To account for this, the hero powers allow you to upgrade them to avoid major destruction, whereas the opposite side of the karmic level, infamous, is just used for that reason, chaos. Most of the upgraded abilities are used for maximum destruction. If you're evil, you could care less about the people around you. In fact, the more people you kill or hurt gets you towards that goal of becoming infamous. To upgrade these abilities, you have to obtain XP. To obtain XP, you have to complete main missions, side missions, killing enemies, doing power tricks, healing civilians, basically doing anything. The powers you have and can obtain by turning on the power throughout the city are Shockwave, Shock Grenade, Megawatt Hammer, Thunder Drop, Polarity Wall, Precision, and finally the most OP, Lightning Storm. There are also other powers like Overload Burst and Arc Lightning. You can obtain these by completing good and evil side missions. However, if you're good, you can't use Arc Lightning, and the same goes for being evil with Overload Burst. The game locks out the good side mission if you do an evil one, and vice versa. These abilities are excluded from XP and can only be upgraded by completing a certain amount of karmic side missions. You can also upgrade abilities like Melee, Electric Drain, and Reduce Damage. The last ability, Gigawatt Blades, can only be obtained from the PlayStation 3 store. I didn't have internet as a kid, so I didn't get to download these when I was little. Now don't worry, you don't have to pay for these. They are completely free. However, when the PlayStation 3 store shuts down, you won't be able to download them. I'm not sure why these weren't included in the base game. I guess they realized Melee is a little too boring and kind of janky and not fun to use, so they developed this power and threw it in the game later. And I love them. I think it's a great addition. I love the slow-mo that kicks in right after you strike someone with it. Nothing really happens to these once you upgrade them, they just cause more damage. But now back to the powers that are actually in the base game. You have to be a certain karmic level to upgrade most of the powers you have. For example, you have to be at the karmic level hero to get the last and most powerful upgrade of that ability. And of course, this locks out the evil side, which means you can't upgrade or obtain the evil power up if you're at a good karma level. You can switch to that evil level, but again, you just need to have a lot of XP. I really wish there was some in-game content that allowed you to have both sides of the karma level powers. That would have been incredibly fun to use right after you beat the game. First, we have the lightning bolt, the first power you can use in the game. This costs the most amount of XP to upgrade and has the best advantages for the karma path you choose. The hero path starts with Guardian, restoring a small amount of energy with each hit on an enemy, and it evolves to Champion, causing headshots to chain electricity to nearby enemies and objects. Hero restores more energy with each hit, and headshots now heal you, and the evil side is a little more interesting. The first upgrade, Thug, has a chance of causing an enemy to explode before dying, which damages anything around them, including other enemies or civilians. The second upgrade, Outlaw, increases the radius of the explosion, extending it out. Then we have the most powerful shot with infamous rank. Every single headshot causes the enemy to explode. No more chances of an explosion. It's every single headshot. I saved up all of my XP for this one. If you get a headshot, it kills the enemy instantly and sends anyone around them flying, including exploding cars or anything else around them. This combined with precision, if you're a good shot, is just OP-ville. It feels so damn satisfying to use. Next up is Shockwave. This sends a wave of shock, forward lifting anything and anyone off the ground into the air. It's also useful for sending missiles and grenades back at enemies. The hero Shockwave makes enemies float in the air, and you can also upgrade to increase the blast force and range of the wave. The infamous side electrifies everything in its path, and with the final upgrade, it can make cars explode when you launch them. The shock grenade is exactly what it sounds like. It's a grenade. However, it's like the plasma grenade from Halo. It can stick to any person. It's so damn satisfying. This little animation the enemies make when it gets stuck to them is fucking hilarious. Upgrading the hero grenade increases the damage and automatically restrains the enemies if they are weakened, which is an awesome addition because it can increase your good karma with every time you use that grenade. Upgrading the evil grenade just causes it to produce grenadelets for maximum destruction. The higher the upgrade, the higher the grenadelets. If you throw a shit ton of these out, it just explodes everything in the area. The megawatt hammer is basically an electric rocket that explodes on impact. It has one of the most fun upgrades for the hero side. Once upgraded, you can shoot the rocket anywhere in the sky or anywhere around. You can shoot a lightning bolt at an enemy or an object, and it will redirect to that location you just shot at and go full fucking speed. I use this all of the time during my hero run, and you can pull off some pretty fun trick shots with it. Now the evil side is just a copy and paste of the grenadelets. It adds smaller rockets and increases the tiny rockets based on how much you upgrade it. Again, it's used for maximum destruction, but the devs could have been a little more creative with this one in my opinion. They could have just made it to where the evil rocket automatically restrains civilians instead of enemies, and maybe does a mini bio leech of the enemies to give you more power, and that way it would increase your bad karma. I didn't really use this rocket that much on my evil run. The thunder drop is one of my favorite and most satisfying abilities to use. Once you're on top of a building or just high up in general, you can leap off into the air, press square, and it starts charging up to release a blast on the ground, causing a shockwave. Upgrading this increases the blast force and electrifies objects on the ground. There are no good or evil upgrade paths for this though, which was a missed opportunity. I was so afraid to use this during my hero run because I felt like I would just kill or harm so many civilians on the ground. It felt reckless, but you can cancel out of the thunder drop, thank God. I wish they made a hero upgrade path to where it only shocks enemies and blasts them away, and it would not cause any harm to the civilians. I never even upgraded it that much on my hero side, but now I use this every chance I got during the evil path. I just didn't care because, again, it would just boost my bad karma if I killed any civilians. It just benefited my evil karma every time I used it. I remember going to the highest point of the map when I was little and using the most powerful thunder drop on the ground. I would just climb all the way back up and do it again. Polarity Wall is basically an electric riot shield. You get this towards the end of the game, and it's so very useful if there are a lot of sentry guns or a lot of enemies around. Upgrading the Polarity Wall increases the size of it and can also absorb bullets to replenish your electric energy. Precision is just a sniper mode. It slows down time and can be used for awesome headshots or taking out multiple enemies at once. I'll group the basic stuff together since there isn't much to them. Upgrading the reduced damage reduces damage. Upgrading melee increases damage to melee. Electric Drain increases the speed of the drain. Upgrading Drain further replenishes your energy when you grind on rails and power lines. And the final upgrade for Drain allows you to press left on the D-pad to have unlimited energy for a small amount of time, only if you're at a max karmic level. You also have 3 basic abilities that cannot be upgraded, which is Pulse Heal, allowing you to heal civilians or cops, Arc Restraint, which restrains anyone to the ground including enemies, civilians, and cops, and last up is Bile Leech. This one should only be used for evil. However, you can use it if you're good. It will just decrease your good karma. This ability allows you to leech off an enemy or civilian, absorbing all of their power to restore yours, killing them in the process. It's really horrific and gruesome, and sometimes they'll even kick their feet and it makes this evil sucking sound. It's kind of obvious why this is evil and decreases your good karma. And finally, we have the last ability you can obtain in the game, the Lightning Storm. Truly a jaw-dropping moment for me the first time I played the game. By pressing down on the D-pad, you can call a fucking lightning strike from the sky, moving forward, one-shotting everything in its path and causing almost everything to explode. If you have an official PS3 6-axis controller, which is just a controller that has a gyroscope in it, you can tilt the controller to change the path of the lightning strike. You can tell this was just added in as an early gimmick for the Genesis days of the PS3. This uses the most amount of energy, of course. And also obvious, you cannot use this underground. That's the first thing the game actually tells you when you get it, since you're in the sewer when you obtain this power. This game has this amazing and fun mission once you obtain the Lightning Storm. To turn on the power to the last section of the city, you have to stand on top of this generator, granting you unlimited energy. You can use this Lightning Storm as much as you want without any consequences. You won't run out of energy. This mission sends waves and waves of enemies at you, and you realize how crazy and powerful you feel with how fun this power is. If you haven't caught on yet, again, this power, like almost every other power you have, is so much damn fun to use in the game. The abilities you have truly are some of the most amazing and entertaining parts of Infamous. Even in the end game, there's so much to upgrade and see what your maximum potential can be depending on your karmic choice. It really feels like the devs just brainstormed and came up with the coolest ways to use electricity as a superpower. Everything used feels so creative and unlike other video games. I don't know many superhero games that involve a brand new character, never seen before, a character in a story that was made up specifically for that video game. I love the idea of recharging coal like a battery and the different advantages the karma level has on the powers. Just a super fun way to play a video game. The way that you can mix and match these powers are so unique and adds so much variety to the game. It makes every fight feel fun and different, including the boss fights, which you can just throw everything you got at them. Speaking of bosses and enemies, there are only 3 real bosses and various types of enemies in this game. They represent each section of the city you get to explore. We have Sasha, the extremely horny and crazy chick who is in charge of the Reapers. She represents the neon district of the map. She can spit this black goo that turns normal people into these horrible minions that throw up this disgusting goo and try to kill you. Oh, she also has this fucking nasty tentacle coming out of her mouth. God. Oh, nasty. She is obsessed with and in love with Cole. She keeps confusing Cole with another villain, Kessler.
Why, Kessler? Why do you love her? I'll kill her. I swear it. I'll wear her skin like a robe.
She's gone insane at this point, so she doesn't seem all there. And when you're evil, every evil side mission is associated with her. She tells you what to do, where to go, and who to kill, while also being super horny again. Oh god, I can't imagine. Fuck. The Reapers are the first type of enemy in the game and are the weakest. Nothing is really special about them. Most Reapers have standard guns, some have rocket launchers, and a few have riot shields to use. This mainly applies to all of the enemies in the game. However, each enemy group has a more powerful type of mini-boss, called a Conduit. The Reaper Conduit can teleport and send a wave of explosions towards you, and of course, they are harder to take down. We then have Alden, an old man who has telekinesis and wants revenge on everyone and everything. He represents the Warren District. The Warren District is this really worn down place. Apparently, Cole mentions that it wasn't really that nice before the blast, so it's completely covered in trash. Alden is in charge of the Dustmen. The Dustmen use trash and scrap metal for armor. I also love the little detail of trash falling off them every single time they get hit. And some of the Dustmen have suicide bombers that come out of alleyways, but you can hear them screaming from a mile away.
Dumbass! Dumbass!
The Dustmen have 2 types of conduits. One has the power to shoot out these little annoying bastards that look like little crabs. He also carries a rocket launcher, and the other conduit is a golem looking thing that has a person inside of it, and it takes so damn long to kill. You have to shoot off one arm, then the other arm, then one leg, then the other leg, and sometimes this still doesn't work. You still have to keep doing that over and over and just kind of keep sending rockets at the damn thing. Alden grew up as a homeless kid. It's pretty damn sad. When he was younger, he was supposed to be in charge of the First Sons, that group that I mentioned earlier that created the race sphere, but someone else came in and took over his entire family operation, taking his place instead, and which leads us to the main villain, Kessler. He represents the historic district, which is actually a nicer district that you start off with in the beginning of the game. Remember where that crater is? He's the one that took over the First Sons and is their leader. The First Sons are the most powerful type of enemy in the game. They are much harder to take down, and you get more XP every time you do take them down. They're a lot stronger. They have two types of conduits, one being an aura conduit. This guy basically just makes himself bigger and stomps around. He's probably one of the easiest conduits to kill. You just shoot him a bunch in the middle and he's out. The second conduit can make himself invisible and shoot a shotgun point blank at your face. And the problem is you can't really see them coming sometimes and they just pop up. Sometimes you can see invisible enemies in video games, like you can kind of see the force field around them, but these guys, most of the time, they just come out of nowhere. You cannot see them coming. Kessler has a very vague power. It's kind of hard to tell exactly what it is. He can make people see into the past, shoot beams of light, throw grenades, send a shockwave, and create illusions of himself that can damage you. Kessler just kind of shows up out of nowhere and talks to Cole in this very weird, almost sentimental kind of way, like he knows Cole, and he isn't trying to kill him. He doesn't want revenge, he doesn't want power, he wants to teach Cole a lesson, no matter how harsh or horrible it is. We're going to be getting into heavy spoiler territory at this point. Kessler does some pretty messed up stuff, more specifically the special people in Cole's life. The only remaining part of Cole's life that he still cares about, and the thing that still feels normal in this destroyed world. Towards the end of the game, you finally find John, and when you find him, he informs you that he has no idea who Moya is. Remember that woman at the beginning of the game who told you to find her husband? Cole realizes that he's getting played and Moya was just using him to find John because she works for the government and they needed him because he basically developed superhumans and a nuclear bomb at the same time. So there goes Cole's only way of getting out of the city. But John tells Cole that he still needs to find the race sphere because it's incredibly dangerous and he just wants to completely destroy it. He just wants to get rid of it, that way no one can use it for anything else ever again. When Cole finally gets to Alden, who has the race sphere in his possession, Zeke tags along with Cole to give him some backup. Kessler shows up at the last second to piss Alden off even more. Zeke is able to grab the race sphere from Alden while he's distracted yelling at Kessler. Cole keeps telling Zeke that it's time to go, but Zeke is just standing there, staring at the race sphere. He realizes that he can have everything that Cole has. Since the beginning, Zeke has been trying to make a difference or be helpful by going along with Cole or assisting the cops, which leads to multiple cops dying because of Zeke's powerful urge to be a hero. Zeke realizes that if he activates the race sphere, he can have superpowers, like Cole. He can have everything he's ever wanted this whole time, to be a hero and have so much power, to not be in Cole's shadow. He tries to activate the sphere, knowing it will kill thousands of people, just like at the beginning of the game. He makes the decision that some people would make to have power, but nothing happens. No explosions, no deaths, nothing. Kessler takes this opportunity to offer Zeke powers if he comes with him, to leave Cole and abandon his best friend, his brother. And of course, Zeke leaves with Kessler. Just what a super fucked up thing to do to your best friend, just for the selfishness of having power. Soon after this, Cole is hit with a double whammy. Kessler informs Cole that he is testing him. He sets up bombs all over the historic district and tells Cole to hurry up and deactivate the bombs or innocent people will die. After Cole deactivates the bombs, Kessler gives Cole his final request. He tells Cole that he has his girlfriend, the love of his life, hanging from one building. From the other building, 6 doctors. Bombs are rigged to explode and you can only save one or the others. And it's obvious that the good karma decision is to save the doctors, and the evil decision is to save Trish. Now again, playing this at 12 years old gave me so much anxiety. I'd been playing this game for a while now, and grew close to these characters. I loved Cole, Trish, and Zeke, even if Trish was barely in the game and got no character development. So since I was at a good karma level, I knew I couldn't save Trish, but I so desperately wanted to. I was hoping that Kessler just tied Trish up with the doctors and I could save them all. So imagine the shock that I went through when I saved the doctors and this happened.
Trish!
Time slowed down as Trish fell. All my powers, and I couldn't do a thing. For a second, she sprung to life, just long enough to say that she was proud of me for what I'd become. Proud that I was helping people with my powers, and that she loved me for it. I buried her in the park alongside others who died since the blast.
God damn. I was heartbroken. It gave me so much more motivation to complete the game and kill Kessler. It also intrigued me to see what would happen if I did save Trish. So look at this bullshit. If you're evil and you go to save Trish, this happens instead.
For a second, she sprung to life, just long enough to say that she was ashamed of what I'd become. That God had given me these powers and I'd squandered them, hurting others and thinking only of myself. I buried her in the park alongside others who died since the blast.
This is even worse, man. This is what I'm talking about when I say the game makes you genuinely feel horrible for choosing the evil side. Trish either says she's proud of you for being a hero, or she says she hates your fucking guts and then immediately dies. Imagine the last words from the love of your life as she is dying in your arms is that she is so disappointed in you, hates you, and that you're a piece of shit. That right there made me want to quit the game and start the hero side again. Anyways, no matter what you choose, Kessler kills Trish. Cole lost his best friend, the love of his life, and has been lied to by the only person that could get him out of this hellhole of a city. And right after all of this tragedy, he gets his most powerful power, goes after the Ray Sphere, and finally gets to face Kessler. This is where the major spoilers of the game come in. The final fight is with Kessler himself. I played the game on the hardest difficulty, and he was pretty difficult to beat. I died 3 or 4 times to finally beat this guy. And being that, at the time I was 13 when I beat this game for the first time, the ending completely and utterly blew my fucking brain to pieces, man. When you get Kessler's health bar to 0, he falls to the ground and whispers,
Trish, I love you. Please forgive me.
Now he keeps mentioning Trish as a special woman all throughout the game. He keeps saying that she's like a special lady or a special person as Trish, all these other different things, and as a young boy, I just assumed that Kessler was Trish's dad given his age. He leaps towards Cole, grabs his head, and shows him this.
As Kessler's secrets played out in my head, I finally began to understand. I saw his nemesis, a beast intent on extinguishing all life. In those early days, Kessler could have used his powers to stop it, but instead he fled with his family, leaving others to fend for themselves. Hunted for years, Kessler and his family watched as the rest of the world went to hell. And then it was too late. Too late to fight, too late to save anyone. In that moment of failure and grief, he used his newest and most dangerous power. He went on a one-way trip back in time, attempting to rewrite history. Kessler seized control of the First Sons and accelerated the Ray Sphere's development. Decades spent plotting the blast, organizing the quarantine, finding me. Yet the thing that drove him forward, Kessler's sole link to the past, was a picture from his wedding day, when he married Trish, with Zeke as his best man.
The whole time I was fighting this guy, since the beginning of the game, the guy that has been the main villain of the story, the voice heard at the very beginning, the man who killed the love of Cole's life, this man was actually Cole himself.
Wow.
Saying that out loud, it sounds so damn cheesy and predictable, but I had not experienced this in a video game or a movie before, and I was still pretty young, so I was oblivious to almost everything. I still remember seeing this cutscene of the game, and my jaw hit the floor. I think I pressed the PlayStation button on the controller before the cutscene even finished, and just had to process what I had just witnessed. I was playing this game for months at this point. I had put in maybe 30 hours into it, and I was fighting myself the entire time and didn't even know it. The build-up was some of the best build-up in a video game I've ever had. Future Cole had killed the woman he loved, the mother of his children, to teach Cole a lesson about not holding back, to save the world at any cost. This was just such a powerful ending to me. Again, when I was little at the time, this ending was an absolute masterpiece. I remember just being so excited and impatient to play the sequel to this game. They obviously set one up at the end, and I'm not gonna lie, I still get goosebumps when Cole says the day that he married Trish with Zeke as his best man. Just the way that line is delivered is so impactful and so emotional. I watched this ending cutscene on YouTube so so many times after I beat the game. Now, as I have completed this game as a full-grown adult and witnessed the ending of it for the first time in about 10 years or so, it's okay. It's predictable. And Zeke just kind of shows up after betraying you and gets tossed like 100 feet away. He should be so fucking dead, but he comes up in the ending cutscene and he's just standing there. You get the idea that he feels bad and his relationship with Cole will continue in the sequel, but I don't know, he just kind of shows up and he's there. Then it's the end. Besides the Kessler reveal, the ending didn't really come together quite that well in my opinion. It drops that huge bomb of a reveal, and Cole just says he'll be ready for the next big bad guy when he comes. It doesn't mention Moya again, it doesn't confirm if Alden is dead or not, and does not elaborate on what happens to Sasha. It falls kind of flat. But it is trying to set up that next entire game. Does it actually explain what happens to those characters in the next game? We'll have to see it in the next video. Spoiler alert, I think it's not. I don't think they mention them at all. I think they just kind of drop everything. I just wish it kind of expanded on Zeke and how bad he feels or how Cole is just pissed at him. It just feels like it ends out of nowhere. Once you beat the game, it gives you this little message about how you can explore the city, collect blast shards, complete side missions, or complete the opposite side of the Karma story. The in-game content is very open worldy, meaning just basic side missions and collecting, not much else. The only motivation I had for completing everything was to upgrade my powers all the way to see what they can do, but that motivation disappears very quickly once you realize there aren't much enemies around anymore by completing the side missions. It just makes me want to jump right into the second game. But how did I feel about the first entry in the Infamous series all of these years later? The game that I was absolutely obsessed with as a preteen and could not stop playing. The reason I bought a PlayStation 3 just to play these games. That I had already played and beaten multiple times on a different console at my uncle's house. Well, man, what a game this is. Even after not playing it for more than 10 years, I still had a fucking blast replaying it. I was so terrified of ruining this game for my inner child when I replayed it as an adult. I've been going back and replaying some games that I loved as a kid, and some are still fun, some are legitimately heartbreaking. You remember having so much fun and spending countless hours playing this specific game that you're obsessed with and you love so damn much. Then you replay it years later and realize the game fucking sucks and you can't even play it for more than an hour. But Infamous, man, I could not stop playing it now. Even as a 26-year-old, I could not put this game down. A game that I've already beaten multiple times when I was younger. It was just as good as I remember, if not more fun. I'm glad I replayed this masterpiece of a game. I started the evil karma path right after I beat the good karma path of the game. That hasn't happened in so very long. I can't remember the last time I started a new game right after I just beat it. My brain can't handle doing the same thing or playing the same game over and over and over, but Infamous is just different to me. It just clicks. I can't stop having fun when I play this game. I cannot wait to beat, play, and make a video about Infamous 2. I even debated playing the sequel before making this video. I was just trying to come up with an excuse to play it, but I would have never got this video done. The lead up and excitement to Infamous 2 could be a video of itself. It's gonna take a while, just like this video did. I still genuinely love this game, if that wasn't clear before. It was the reason I bought a PS3 in the first place, and the same year the PS4 came out. It makes me wish Sony remastered or remade this game instead of The Last of Us, or the other remasters that they've done. But I get it. Any other Infamous fans, they're not going to want to hear this, but The Last of Us is infinitely more popular and it sold way more copies than Infamous did. The first Infamous only sold about 1.2 million copies, which isn't bad. Other reports say almost 2 million, but The Last of Us, only on the PS3, sold 6 million copies. That's not counting the remaster, the remake, or anything else. That's 6 times more than the first Infamous. The Last of Us franchise has sold over 30 million copies total. It's clear why Sony doesn't really care about remastering Infamous. But if any game needed or deserved a remake, it would be Infamous. Imagine the detail of the city from the power of the PS5. The ray tracing from the electric powers alone would be fucking beautiful. The pop-in would disappear, the animations would be incredible. They could even expand the size of the city and add in new mechanics or powers. The only way to play Infamous 1 and 2 is either through owning a PS3, streaming it on PS Plus, or emulating it. Streaming it is not the perfect way to play it, and PS3 emulation still has not become perfect yet. It still has a lot to go. God of War 3 got remastered. The Last of Us got remastered twice. They put all of the Uncharted games on PS4 and PS5. I mean, come on. One of Sony's studios, SuckerPunch, who made hit games like Sly Cooper and Ghost of Tsushima, can't even get a remastered game to run on PS4 or PS5 natively? Just seems like a slap in the face to Infamous fans. I would give absolutely anything to have a remastered or remade version of Infamous. I would even be okay if they just ported the original game to PS4 or PS5 like the other games I mentioned, just so other people could have easier access to it. I'll take anything at this point. This game really means so much more to me than you guys think. I was going through a really hard time in my life when I played it as a kid. Infamous just made me feel like nothing was wrong in the world, and it distracted me for a little bit. The best memories I have with video games are from Infamous. It made me feel like I had the freedom to use superpowers in my own way. I usually would choose the hero path, because I just wanted to do some good. I would just roam around the city, helping as many people as I could, healing as many people as I could, and just defeating bad guys. It made me feel powerful. Basically, the point to this video is, fuck, I still love it. Thank you so much, guys, for watching this video. This has been such a huge passion project for me. I wasn't lying when I said that this game really means so much to me, and so like I really wanted to make this video as amazing as it possibly could be, because that's how much Infamous means to me. So I just wanted to make an awesome video, and I remember a couple months ago I just typed in Infamous to see if anybody had made any videos on this type of franchise, and there were a couple, but nothing that I was really looking for, so I just wanted to make one myself and kind of just give my own experience on it. Thank you so much, guys, for your patience. I really appreciate it, and I really hope you like the video. You don't have to leave a like, you don't have to subscribe, I don't care, just watching the video. If you loved Infamous like I did, or if you connected with the video, that's really all I was going for. I just wanted other Infamous fans to see this video and just like it, basically. So I hope you all have a wonderful day, night, whatever. I hope you have a great day. Goodbye.